Welcome to another tutorial from Sale-A-Bration. Today I'm going to show you how to make a cardstock box, also using DSP for your lid. And it's going to feature several of the products that you can get for free with celebrations. And this is 2021 celebrations, January and February. So if you're watching and you don't have a demonstrator already and you would like to order some of these products, you can get them for free. With every $50 that you spend, you can choose a free product from Celebrations. So I'm going to show you two of the beautiful designer series papers and a free stamp set that you can get. So the tutorial today is actually how to make these beautiful little gift boxes. I'm using cardstock on the bottom and the beautiful paper on the top. Who wouldn't want a nice gift inside one of these nice little boxes? I'm also featuring the Darling Donkeys stamp set that you can get for free with a $50 order. So this designer paper you can get and the for $50, or the Darling Donkeys you can get for $50. And what cute little cards they could make. See how the color coordination works? The Coastal Cabana and the designer series paper all include those colors. So it's great. This uses the designer paper called Oh So Ombre, which you have a variety of colors, and you have some plain or some with the little circles on them, and ombre because it goes from a darker version of those colors to lighter, and it kind of has a gradual effect there. So that's the Oh So Ombre designer series paper. You can get this for free for $50 in an order. So stay tuned and hope you can join in making the boxes with me. All right, so today we're going to do some little gift boxes using cardstock and DSP. You can use all cardstock or all DSP, but it's kind of nice to use the DSP for the top, make a very pretty lid, and cardstock is a little more sturdy for the bottom. But depending on what you plan to put in your box, certainly you can go either way. So I'm using today from the celebrations, I just got this is the first time I'm playing with it, the Flower and Field designer paper. This is one you can get for free, 12 by 12. Includes a lot of colors, as you can see. I'm not even going to bother listing them all to you because a lot of them are there. So really nice with the black background mostly. This one has the sort of Coastal Cabana or the jade background. The flip sides are what Stampin' Up likes to do, a more graphic design to complement the flowers on the front. So something a little different, really different from the normal flowery thing. Nice and bold and cheery. So that should cheer people up these days, I think. So I'm going to make a box using the Coastal Cabana for the bottom and this designer paper for the top, this pattern here. So you can really make your box any size, any shape. You can do square or rectangle. The key, though, is to make your score lines even on all sides. And that's going to be the lip, the part that comes up the side. So I'm going to just put the DSP aside for a moment. Now, I'm going to cut this down to, I'm just going to make a square one first. Then we'll try a rectangular one and see what happens. So if you're thinking about what size you want your box, if you're starting from, okay, I need a box, say a 5-inch box, you have to also think about how high you want your sides. So if you want 5 inches, obviously when you have a piece of cardstock that's 8.5 inches wide, what's left over is 3.5 inches. So your side can't be more than half that. All right. So, but let's just take a random, let's say you don't care, you just want to make a little box. So let's just take a little side. Let's say we already have 8.5 inches this way. I'll cut 8.5 inches the other way just to start, and we'll see what that gives us. Okay, so we'll start making a square box. Now, you can score in a couple of ways. You can use your scoring tool on your trimmer. Just make sure you don't mix it up with the cutting tool. Sometimes I've done that before. I just remember the lighter color gives a lighter impression. The dark one is the deep cutting one. Or some people like to use a scoring board, which has the measurements on top and it has the grooves in here. So either way works nicely. So we're going to make a box, and I'm going to make my sides, if I made them 2 inches, then 2 inches from here and 2 inches from here, I'm going to have a box that is 1, 2, 3, 4.5 inches square, because that's what's going to be left in the middle. So just for fun, let's do that. So I'm going to score at 2 inches all the way down the paper. And if you want, you can count 2 inches this way, or you can just rotate your paper 90 degrees, make another score at 2, rotate, score 2 inches on each side. Okay, then you have your little grid, kind of like an off-sized tic-tac-toe board. All right, so then we could push that aside, and I like to take my bone folder and score those lines first. So like I said, this could be any size, just as long as you score the same amount of inches on all 4 sides. All right, so this is what we have here. Now, I've seen some people fold up the sides, make some scores in the corner, and then that kind of reinforces the corner, but makes a little bit more bulk that way. So what I like to do is to cut either with scissors, or you can do this on your trimmer as well, all in one swoop. If you've already scored your 2 inches, say here, while you have it there, you can also use your cutting blade to cut the little slit there. But we're only going to cut in one direction. That's the important thing. So we're going to, if I'm thinking this is my top and bottom, it doesn't really matter when you have a square, but just for me to remember how to cut the right way, I'm going to cut a little slit here up to that first score line, and a slit here. And I'm also going to cut a little bit more of that tab off, just to make a little wedge. Actually, you know what? I wanted to try something a little different. I've done it this way before, but recently I did see where somebody cut the edges off. Let's do that. Okay, either way, I'm going to cut the outside off just a little bit, and I'll show you the difference later. All right, so I'm going to turn it around, completely around, so your slits are on top, and you're going to cut in the same direction. You don't want perpendicular cuts, in the same direction. Just up to the score line. And that's going to allow you to fold it in, and I think it reinforces the sides just a little bit too, which is never a bad thing. This doesn't have, the little wedge doesn't have to be any particular measurement, just to take a little bit off so that it's not, if your measurements when you score it are slightly off, even like a 1/16 of an inch or a smidge, it's going to be, it's going to look better this way. Okay, so the reason why I decided I liked cutting this part off a little bit was because when I fold this up and fold the tab in, this part is still going to be nice and flat and lay nicely here, because we're going to put adhesive on the what's considered the outside of the box, and we're going to fold that in and glue it to here. So if this piece is a little short at the top, that's okay, because you're not going to see the inside. But because the part down below, right in here, hasn't been trimmed, it's going to lay nice and straight. So I kind of like that. Let me show you the difference with the one I cut over here. This is fine too, but it might be a little harder because it's not going to lay flat. You might end up going in a little bit, and your box lid might be just a little wonky, and it might be hard to get this straight on the end. Either way, you just want to make sure that these parts here are straight, are even rather. Okay, rather than it in here. But with keeping this part flat, it meets up nicely on the bottom there. Okay, so we're going to, whatever is considered the outside of the box, that's where we're going to put our adhesive. You want something strong because it's going to be holding something. You don't want it to fall apart. So tear tape is good, or the Stampin' Seal Plus. I don't have the Plus, I just have the Stampin' Seal, which is pretty good. I would use that. I've been using that on the DSP. It holds pretty well. Just with the cardstock, it's a little heavier, so I like to use something a little sturdier. Okay, so now that I have all my covers off my tearing tape, I'm going to fold the box in with the tabs on the inside because you don't want them to be seen. And like I said, you want to make sure that the corners match up nicely. And give it a little press. The glue is fine also. You just need to hold it a little bit until it gets tacky enough to stay together on its own. But that's certainly strong enough. You can use that too. Okay, so there you have your little box bottom. You want to give somebody some tear tape? It fits very nicely in there. Okay, so there's our bottom, and we're going to do pretty much the same thing with the top. All right, now if you you can do the top the same measurements, and it will fit very snugly. And because it is, paper, it can bend in just a little bit for the lid to hold on. Okay, I'm going to start with 8.5. 8.5. And I'll just do my scoring on here. So that means I'm going to score at 6.5. 6.5. 6.5. And 6.5. Or you can go this way, but I prefer to have more of the paper on the palette. It's a little bit easier to work with that way. Okay, cut parallel lines, just the one direction up to the score line. See how quickly this goes? Cut a little, like a miter cut, you call that. A little bit there. Like I said, the sides aren't going to matter how much, just that little bit, just that little tiny wedge. I think they're a little too small to save for anything. Put your glue on the outside. What's going to be the top of your box, just on the tabs. Fold them in so the corners match. Oh no. Okay. And now we have a top to our box. All right. So when you have that 2 inches there, it is going to cover the whole box. But if we wanted to start with You can figure out the measurements, and I can post those later, where you'd still have the same size box, but just a little bit shorter on the side. All right, so that's pretty. You can wrap that up with a nice ribbon. And tie a nice bow at the top. And here's a little something about tying bows. A lot of people say, well, how do you get it to go the right direction? This is what I do. A little quick little bonus mini lesson. I always start my left side over my right side and tuck that end under. All right. So now when you pull it tight, one tends to go down toward you. The other tends to go up away from you. What I do is I always make my loop, my first loop, with the one that's toward me. Now, if I want the bow to go horizontally, I would wrap the top part around clockwise. Okay. And when you tuck it through and pull it, it will be parallel to, like if I had only wrapped it once, it would be parallel to that horizontal ribbon that you chose there. Okay, see, it's going left to right, side to side. Sometimes you want it to go in perpendicular to that particular ribbon. Maybe if you have your ribbon going vertically on your card, you want the row to go the other way. So all you have to do is start the same way, left over right and under, make the loop with the bottom piece that's closest to you, and now go counterclockwise around there, and your bow will go in the opposite direction. So I always think of counterclockwise goes in a counter direction, and an opposite direction as that will not be parallel. Okay, so now see the bow's going in the other direction. So something good to know. So you can try that. Look how pretty that looks. And you can always attach your card or a little tag. You can make something to coordinate with it. So I have also another Sale-A-Brations DSP here. That is the Oso Ombre. You can get that one for free during Sale-A-Brations 2021. Very simple. Putting it on a white card to keep sort of a clean look, since the box is very busy. I don't want my card to be overwhelmed too much. I'm going to color this little guy in a little bit, taking some petal pink for his ears, a little bit for his nose. Going to add a little bit with my Stampin' Blend, a little bit of brown to his little tufts on his tail, maybe his hooves. Okay, this is from the Darling Donkeys, which is also free with Sale-A-Brations. I'm going to color him mostly the slate, smoky slate. This is a light. The alcohol markers, as you know, come in light and dark. Okay, then when that dries, it lightens up a little bit. And I'm going to give him a little something a little ground to sit on, so he's not just floating in the air there. And if you want, you could come in, do a little highlights with the dark, maybe a little shadowing. And then blend it again with your light. And don't forget, with the alcohol markers, you have the color lifter, which can lighten certain areas. So maybe I want just a little bit extra light here. Maybe blend in this little piece of ground. Kind of lighten that just a little bit. And you'll see that lighten as we go on. See right here how it gave just a little bit extra, light right there. As if the light's shining on there. And then I'll pop that on with dimensionals, and you've got just a cute quick little card. I think he's just adorable. Put that right in the middle. Yeah, I'll just put it right in the middle. Leave it like that. So you've got a cute little card, nice little set to send to somebody. So now this is another one that I did. Again, with the Darling Donkeys, a different DSP and Cherry Cobbler. I did make this one a little shorter on the side so you can see the contrast with the box bottom. So the bottom is cardstock, so it makes it a little firmer, and the top is with the designer paper. Here I use the Bumblebee gingham ribbon, which coordinates with the bumblebee in the paper. And this I made just a little tag. Because I put this up on dimensional dots, I just made this into a little mini tag there. I put up on dimensional dots. I was thinking, well, I didn't want to actually stick this on here, but I didn't want to put it in an envelope or a cello bag. It's kind of small. So I thought of the idea of just slipping the ribbon in there. I'll lift this up just a little bit. Slip the ribbon in there, and when they open the ribbon, the tag would come off. See that? So it kind of holds on itself, and then you can tie that back up again. So here we go. I want since my ribbon is vertical, I want my bow to go perpendicular to that. So left over, right, and under. I'm going to turn it this way so I know. Bottom ribbon near you, make the loop. I'm going counterclockwise. And then now my ribbon's going in the direction that I want. But isn't that really pretty? Okay, and then one more that I made with some retired DSP. I coordinated it with the Queen Anne's lace stamp set, which I demonstrated once before. We embossed this white on white and then brushed over it with some Highland Heather and just create a very simple card. Again, the star of the show is the DSP. So this, I made the whole box out of DSP. The whole thing matches, and it is a little less firm as the cardstock, as you can imagine, but I figured it's a nice box for something like a scarf. And this ribbon that I have on here is from the Flowers for Every Season. It's a Whisper White faux linen. It has that very nice, crisp, clean. And it said perfect for, put your little tissue paper in there, perfect for something like a scarf. A very light kind of a gift. And that kind of matches the linen. So kind of coordinate what your gift is kind of fun. All right, so it's a little bit more than wrapping paper, but less sturdy than a whole box. Okay, one more time with ribbon, left over, right, and under. I want this to go parallel to my ribbon this time, so I'm going to go clockwise. And now the ribbon's in the right direction. And then, of course, I could trim that off. Okay, and your card can just slip right under there, or you can tape it on. So, looks pretty, right? So those were our 3 boxes for today with coordinating little cards.